This one's actually a little bit more crazy. Yeah, we get a call of this guy that goes to his ex-wife's house and tries torching the house with her and her kids in it. So he like dumps gas on it and lights it on fire. So we're on the lookout for this guy. We know where he lives. Me and Chris go kind of by the house to see if he's there. The helicopter's up. They fly over the house. They're like, yeah, his truck's not there. So now me and Chris are kind of like putting ourselves in a position like to try to find him if he's going to drive back to the house. He doesn't. We're like, okay, I guess he's not going home after he just did that, you know? So anyways, probably like 30 minutes go by, and the suspect, the criminal guy, he lived with his twin brother. And so like 30 minutes after we had cleared this thing, the brother calls us and he's like, hey, my brother just got home. He's got a pistol in his waistband. He's got some explosives, and he said he just burned his wife's house down and he smells like gas and told me to get out of the house so I don't die. And we're like, fuck. Like,
so he did go home.
He did go home,
yeah.
And he fucking was ready. And so we get sent, obviously we get dispatched there. And now I'm like, fuck, he said he had he had these homemade explosives and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how the hell, how do we, I was just trying to rack in my head, like, how are we going to respond to this, you know? So,
I mean, wouldn't that typically be a SWAT scenario?
Yes, except for he, had called 911 and was threatening to blow up his house and start shooting people. And so like it really escalated really quickly, and it forced our hand because the helicopter shows up overhead, and he's watching him on his camera, and he's like, hey, the guy is out front. He does have like these devices in his driveway. He's pouring gas on him. And he's got a gun in his hand. And the other shitty thing is there was like a bunch of kids out there riding their bikes because it was summertime. And I think it was probably only like 9 or 10 at night. And they're like, hey, you guys need to get over here and like do something, because I don't think he's playing around.
What is the time constraint SWAT wise, or is that not something you want to mention?
I mean, deployment wise, you know, generally probably like an hour from the time you get a call out, get all the guys there geared up. You know, it's probably about an hour,
yeah,
at minimum.
So in a situation like that, it's just a time thing.
It's a time thing
to wait for them.
Yeah, like, so, and here's how this played out. So like we showed up, me, Chris, and this other officer, a couple other officers, and we're down the street, and this street is pitch black. There's no street lights on this street, and I don't know exactly where the house is. The helicopter is giving us updates about where he's at, and I'm like, dude, you need to kind of guide us in. Anyways, so that was an issue in and of itself, but. So Chris is there and I'm there. We're both handlers, and I'm like, I just had the last dog bite, and so it's his turn. So I'm like, hey, Chris, get your dog out. So Chris gets his dog out. I get my rifle, and this other officer, Dan, he gets his rifle. And now it's like, now the guy calls 911 again, and he's like, hey, you guys got 12 fucking seconds to get here, and I'm fucking killing people. So I was feeling like we were feeling like fucking pressured. Like he was dictating this, huh?
Like he was saying, get here, I'm going to start.
Yeah. Like I felt like he was dictating how the timeline on this. And so, it was just fucked. And so these kids are on their bikes. We're like, get the hell out of here. I still don't know exactly where the house is, but like Chris goes on one side of the street and he's moving up with his dog with a couple other guys. And I'm on the other side of the street with Dan. And we start kind of making our way up using these houses and cars as cover, so he didn't see us or hear us. And finally, I see the glow of a cell phone, like 5 houses up, and I'm like, fucking, there he is, dude. He's in the driveway. So we sneak up one house shy of him, his neighbor's house, and he has no idea we're there. And he's on the phone with 911, the dispatcher.
Are any of you guys on night vision?
No, we don't have that shit.
Really?
No. No, we're using fucking our eyeballs in the middle of the fucking dark, dude. It was like,
yeah.
Anyway, so I can now see him. We're hugged up against this garage, and he's on the phone with dispatch saying like, hey, he's like counting down basically, right? And I can smell this like overwhelming odor of gas. and it was making me feel fucking uncomfortable. Like the whole thing was fucking not comfortable. I could see he's got a gun in his hand. It's a pistol. And I told Dan, I was like, okay, dude, I'm going to fucking hit him with my tack light on my rifle. And he gets like a nanosecond to drop the gun. And I'm like, you cool with that? And he's like, yeah, we game planned it. I hit him with the light. He immediately spins towards us with the gun, and it was on. I mean, all the shooting started happening. So I start going down like my checklist of whether I'm going to deploy the dog or not. And he's like running through this parking lot. There's like there's these restaurants out there. There's like a Red Robin and Burger King and some other stuff. And it was 6:00 at night on a summer night. So there was a lot of people out there. So he runs out onto this main roadway. I drive my car out on the road, and I see him running down the sidewalk. So I go past him, park my car. I kind of cut him off with my car, and I jump out. And I don't ever just jump out and grab my dog. Like I always jump out, gunfight first, and then transition to the dog. Right. So I jump out, point my gun at him. I'm like, hey, get on the ground. He stops. He looks at me. And like, we just locked eyes, and we were probably like 4 feet away from each other. And I thought he was going to just get down.
Like as far as you and I are.
Yeah, dude, like fucking close.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, get on the ground. And he just stares at me, and it had this weird look in his eyes. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so then he turns around and he starts kind of walking the other direction. And I told him he's going to get bit by the dog, and he's still not stopping. I get Axel out, and now he starts running. Now he's running down the sidewalk. Joe pulls up behind me. I send the dog, like thinking like every other time he's going to chase him down, bite him, whatever. Well, as soon as I sent the dog, he's full sprint. I'm running now towards him. And the guy, I see him reach into his waistband, and he pulls out his gun, which was a .357 Magnum. It's a big fucking gun. Mm-hmm. And I saw that thing, and I was like, holy shit. And he spins around and he starts firing at me. And I felt like something slapped me in the side of my left side of my rib cage. And like, I think like I knew I had been hit, but at the time I fucking didn't care, because he's shooting at me. I'm literally shooting at him
while you're
like running down the fucking sidewalk. Yeah, just shooting at each other.
Yeah. So you were shooting while you were running towards him.
Yes. And the dog has now caught up to him, and I see him. He didn't see the dog at first. Now he sees Axel about to bite him. And he fucking stops, and he points at the dog and just fucking cranks around off right in his face. And my dog goes backwards, like out into traffic. And I was like, in my head, I thought, motherfucker, dude, he just killed my dog. And I started feeling like super guilty. Like I just killed my dog. You know, I just sent my dog to do something, and I got him fucking killed.
Yeah. And
so I'm still shooting at him. He shoots at the dog. Dog goes backwards. The guy, like, it totally distracted him. Like the dog totally threw him off. And now instead of shooting at me, he's shooting at the dog. And so he ends up like going up this dirt embankment towards a business. And I see one of my rounds hit him right in the back. He had a backpack on, and I see this big burst of water come out of his back. And I was like, fuck yeah, I got him. And he's still running. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it ended up being like a metal water canister.
Yeah.
It fucking deflected the round. So you can see it in the video, this big poof of water. So I'm still shooting at him. Out of the corner of my eye, I see my dog, and he runs up, and I'm like, no fucking way. He's like, I thought he was dead. And he comes running up, and Axel bites him in the calf and fucking pulls him to the ground.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was like flabbergasted. I could not fucking believe my dog was not dead. And so he's in this like a ramp up to this tire shop. There's like a ramp with railings and shit. He's on the ground with the dog, and dog's biting him. And Joe now has showed up, and Joe's fucking cranking rounds at this guy. I run up, and I ran right up on him within like 4 feet of him. And as I run up on him, he sits up, and he fucking points the gun at me and cranks 2 more rounds off. And you can see they go right past my head. One blows a window out of a business, and then the other one hit the side of the building. and I fucking dumped my mag into him right there, and just shot and killed him.